On June 16, 2025, amid one of the most volatile and dangerous escalations in the Middle East in recent memory, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan held a critical and highly anticipated phone call. The conversation, while private in its full details, was swiftly summarized in official statements by both governments, which delivered a unified and unambiguous message: strong condemnation of Israel's recent military aggression against Iran. This rare convergence of views from Moscow and Ankara came after days of intensifying conflict, as Israel launched targeted strikes deep into Iranian territory, hitting alleged nuclear development sites and military installations. These actions, Israel claims, were in preemptive defense, in response to intelligence suggesting Iran was preparing to accelerate its uranium enrichment program far beyond what international treaties permit. However, Iran insists the strikes were an act of war, and retaliation was swift, with missile barrages striking key Israeli cities, including Tel Aviv, in what Tehran described as a proportionate response to Zionist aggression. In their phone call, both Putin and Erdogan warned that the current trajectory of events risked plunging the entire region into an uncontrollable spiral of violence. They expressed deep alarm at the humanitarian toll already unfolding, not just in Iran and Israel, but in Syria, Lebanon, and particularly Gaza, where instability has triggered a collapse of food supplies and healthcare infrastructure. President Putin, whose government has long maintained complex ties with both Iran and Israel, was sharply critical of what he termed Israel's disproportionate use of force, adding that such military actions violated international law and could not be justified under the guise of national security. Erdogan, whose rhetoric toward Israel has grown increasingly severe over the years, was even more direct, calling the strikes an act of open provocation that will only multiply suffering and sabotage any remaining prospects for peace in the region. Both leaders emphasized the urgency of diplomacy. Erdogan reiterated Turkey's long-standing offer to host multilateral peace talks, suggesting a revival of a nuclear negotiation platform akin to the now-defunct Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, but with expanded participation to include regional stakeholders. President Putin went further, proposing a bold, if controversial, idea that Russia could serve as a neutral custodian for Iran's enriched uranium stockpiles. According to sources close to the Kremlin, the plan would involve international oversight and Russian technical guarantees that the material would not be used for weaponization. While critics argue this proposal may be more about asserting Russia's influence than genuine mediation, it nevertheless underscores the urgency felt by both Moscow and Ankara to intervene before diplomacy becomes impossible. The reaction to this call and the subsequent joint statement was swift. In Washington, the Biden administration walked a careful line, affirming Israel's right to defend itself, while urging all sides to avoid actions that would expand the battlefield. In Brussels, EU leaders welcomed any initiative that promotes diplomacy and restraint, calling the Putin-Erdogan call a positive, though overdue, gesture. In Beijing, China praised the move and indicated it would support any UN-led efforts to stabilize the situation. Meanwhile, on the ground, the toll continues to rise. Reports indicate over 500 people have been killed so far in cross-border attacks, including civilians in cities struck by Iranian missiles and residents of Iranian provinces devastated by Israeli airstrikes. The United Nations has issued a Level 3 emergency alert for Gaza, where food insecurity has reached catastrophic levels, and where international aid convoys are struggling to enter due to blocked borders and ongoing shelling. Human rights organizations have echoed the condemnation, urging all involved states to prioritize civilian lives over strategic calculus. Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have both called for independent investigations into the conduct of both Israeli and Iranian forces, warning that indiscriminate attacks and collective punishment tactics may amount to war crimes. In the backdrop of these developments, the Putin-Erdogan call stands out as a rare and fragile diplomatic opening, one that could, if taken seriously by all parties, pave the way for a ceasefire and renewed negotiations. But the challenges ahead remain immense. Israel has made clear that it will not accept any scenario in which Iran retains the capacity to enrich uranium beyond minimal civilian levels, and Israeli Prime Minister Yair Lapid has rejected Putin's uranium storage proposal as a smokescreen for Tehran's ambitions. On the other side, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei has vowed to respond to any further Israeli action with fire and fury unmatched in modern warfare. Against this backdrop of maximalist positions, it will take more than one phone call to change the tide. Still, in a region where dialogue has too often been replaced by drones and missiles, the coordinated statement by Putin and Erdogan is a reminder that high-level diplomacy remains not only possible, but urgently necessary. Whether their words will lead to concrete action, such as a ceasefire, humanitarian corridors, or a new round of international talks, remains uncertain. But for now, amid the rubble and sorrow of yet another Middle East crisis, this joint condemnation may be the first real step towards stopping the bloodshed and beginning the hard work of peace.